Disclaimer, this podcast was recorded over a month ago. Hi, what's up? Future me here. Just wanted to make sure that everyone understands what's going on in the podcast. So I had to cut a bit of the audio due to, I wanted to play some, lo-fi, Zelda music, but it corrupted part of the audio, so I got rid of it. So you will see a really sloppy cut to the actual podcast. I really apologize for that. But yeah, I think the podcast turned out really well. I'm glad I got to edit it. Thanks again to Seamen, Seamen. He says later in the video that you should search up Mouthfuls Mashup, and I agree, it's way easier to find him. But yeah, enjoy the podcast, I guess. And a lot of people don't know, but where did you get the nickname, or the name Seamen?
Okay, well, it was a nickname from school, but not a very liked one. I'll just say that. It was a bit of a jest. Not very liked jest, but a jest. And it basically comes from my name being, my first name beginning with the letter C, and my surname being Males, which is men are males. So, Seamen, and it stuck, but I thought, I'll take it back. I chose that as my YouTube name.
Sorry, I'm just fixing up OBS. So,
No problem.
is there anything you want to talk about on or on the podcast, I should say?
I don't really mind discussing stuff. We were discussing games earlier. What about films? What films do you have as a list at the top, or are you more of a games person than a films person?
Obviously, I'm more of a games person than a films person, but doesn't mean that I dislike a lot of movies. Like, obviously, I like a ton of movies. I don't know necessarily if I can name a whole lot of movies that, obviously, I'm not because I noticed that Chancelot watches a lot of older films, and then I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it seems like you watch a lot of older films as well, not necessarily old films, but
Yeah, I'm much more of a 70s, 80s than 20s and 30s and 40s. But I do dabble.
You do dabble?
Yeah. But yeah, I would say, what would you say is top 3 if you had to, just 3 films
Top
that you
3.
definitely like?
I'm gonna sound stupid for my choices. I was thinking about this today. There is a film, I might not be able to remember a lot of them. There are films, and I don't want to sound like a normie. Obviously, I like all the Avengers movies, but those aren't going to be on the list. I really like this movie called Now You See Me.
Okay, the magician.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know why I've always I absolutely love that movie. I have absolutely no idea why.
The sequel, I wouldn't say is as good.
No, I still like the sequel, but I don't think. Yeah, it definitely wasn't as good. There was one scene in that movie, the sequel, that I thought was really cool, where they had the Rubik's Cube and they passed it, trying to. I think it was a Rubik's Cube, I believe. Yeah, it was something that they were passing around. No, it was a card, I believe. I think the Rubik's Cube scene was a different movie, but they were passing around a playing card that had a chip in it. I always like that scene, but yeah, I think the first movie, Now You See Me, was really, really fantastic. I was thinking about it today. I can't think of all the movies that I've watched. A movie that I don't necessarily like, but I have loved for years, and it's not my favorite movie now, but it's something that I find has aged quite well, is the WALL-E movie.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best Pixar films.
Yeah, well, the animation looks better than most animation now.
Yeah.
I rewatched it the other day.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the physics, their physics engine worked really well. I don't know, I just thought it turned out really well. That the story was great. Yeah, and for the and I keep thinking about this, except for like some minor dialogue. There's like no dialogue in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, most of it's just music.
Which really impressed me, that you can like stay that engaged with. I mean, obviously short silent films and like silent films in general exist, but
yeah, there's some films where it's incredibly talented direction and stuff where you can keep people's attention with something that is dialogue free. But yeah, that film makes you really feel for one, something that's not human, but two, not even like a, it's not real. It's a box with wheels.
I know.
And a little face. There's no expression. It's not got eyes. It's got lenses, but it's like a rusty old box.
I know.
But like the details, like when I always think one of the best animated shots in anything is when they're in space and he reaches his hand up to like the dust and it all starts floating, and it's all like there's boosting through the air and floating through the space.
Yeah.
His hand up and it all starts floating away. Just the way it all moves is incredible.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for Toy Story because I watched it a lot as a child.
You ever watch the first Madagascar movie?
Yeah.
It looks like a PS1 game.
Yeah, I know. It's insane how it's going back to it is like going back to a PS1 game. Like you think about it and go, oh, that looked incredible when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But the effects in it look great, and you go back and play it, and you're like, this game controls horribly. I have to turn myself one step at a time with the stick. I can't move the camera. And that's what watching Madagascar 1 is like.
Yeah. Well, the big thing about Madagascar 1 is I can't even be invested in it just because of how bad it looks.
No, I know you mean.
They don't even look like real animals. And then I just thought about this because I have a bunch of posters put up in my room. I have a Undertale one, which sounds really like cheesy and corny, but I just absolutely love Undertale. I have like a Doctor Who one with the police box, like text on it. This is like free police box to open. And then I have the Kingsman 2 poster. I don't know if you've seen Kingsman. Yeah, the 1 and 2. I would group them together and say that they're probably like one of my they're my favorite one of my favorite movies together. I think Kingsman 2's ending was better than Kingsman 1's ending because I feel like Kingsman 1's ending like fell apart because they were celebrating technically like the end of the world in that party place, but it felt really weird and claustrophobic. And Kingsman 2's ending, yeah, and then Kingsman 2 ending, it was like they were in that drug lords like little personal like 60s theme area, and it was really cool.
Jungle area.
I just want to bring this up really quick because I uploaded, the scene where spoiler alert for anyone watching the podcast,
the Merlin scene.
Yeah, the Merlin scene.
I saw you uploaded it and I missed that.
Yeah, it got claimed in like 2 seconds. This video was claimed by multiple sources because it was claimed by, I believe, 3 different people. By Fox, who I don't know if I think they made the movie, but I'm not sure. It was also claimed by AdRev for third party and UMG. So that was the name of it. The thing, it said AdRev for third party and UMG. So thanks.
Pretty good. One of the first tracks I made was a whole trivia thing, which hasn't been solved. It was a puzzle.
Wait, what wasn't solved?
One of the first tracks from the first album is a puzzle.
Wait.
It still hasn't been solved.
Wait, what do you mean it's a puzzle?
Like, the rules are in the description of the...
I didn't even read the... Hold on. I don't like not knowing things.
It's a challenge.
Wait, I didn't read... You said the first album?
Yeah, the first album, Fresh from the Sea.
Yeah.
It should be, I think it's track 2. It's called Terminus.
Yeah.
The Terminus Puzzle is the full name. But it's just called Terminus on the album.
And so... You... I'm sorry, like, where are the rules?
No, I uploaded it to, I think it was Galactic Hole did a stream of mashup reviews. I mean, they spent about 10 minutes, including the audience, trying to figure out the puzzle, and they came so close. One sample missing. So what it is there are 8 samples, and they all have a link. One link that connects them all. Money.
Yeah.
That's a good track 2. Track 3. So they all have one link that connects them together, and they all have you have to name the 6 track, but the 8 samples, what the all have in common. It's a word, and then obviously what the word is that links them all. They've come very, very close.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Original upload. No, I haven't spoiled it for anyone. I haven't told anyone. I think the only people who know is me and possibly my father.
Possibly your father.
Me, Dad. Because I told him about what I was working on before I even uploaded it, the album.
Sorry, I just want to make sure audio's good.
I told him about what...
Yeah, alright. I always have to do, like, routine checks to make sure the audio's good on the stream. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to... I mean, I'm not good with puzzles that aren't in video games.
It's an audio puzzle. But I made it with the sole purpose of it being
like
hard to solve.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about, like, putting a puzzle in something like that.
Yeah, there's no point making a puzzle that's going to be easy. But, I don't know, unless you're making a Lego game. Which is no good in a Lego game, so I like the Lego games very much.
Yeah.
Especially the easy puzzles.
Well,
I feel like they're genius when you solve those.
I don't know if you've, because I've said this multiple times to people, but my favorite 3D game of all time is Portal 2. But I believe in Portal 1, there is probably one of the best puzzles, like alternate reality puzzles, like I've seen, like one of the puzzles that you have to solve in real life, but what would you call it? The puzzle pieces are in the game. So I want to explain it because it's so interesting to me.
Okay.
The way it works. So you know the radios.
Yep.
If you move the radios into a certain place, they'll start making.
They play like a
noise.
Yeah,
a really weird noise.
Is it the printout?
Well, it's not just that, because there's another part to it. But you can put them into like a one of the audio visualizer things, and they'll make images, and then they'll also some of them can be decoded into words, into sentences. I mean, and I forgot what the sentences are. I know one of them is a quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Nice.
Let's see. Portal 1. One of them is interior transmission active, external data line active, message digest active. One of them is a quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog. One of them is system data dump active, user backup active, password backup active. And then one of them is beep, 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 beep. And it's a string of beeps. And decoding those into Morse code, it's spelled out LOL. But I forgot what it was called. But so in those images, they each have, for the first couple, they each have, letters and stuff. Letters and numbers. And so, if you take them from top left down to, bottom, to, left, right, I believe it was left, right again. And you put them into the string based on, their, chronological, point in time. You'd get a number, and it was 425-822-5251. And that wasn't a phone number. It was a bulletin board system, which was a chat room.
Okay. And
going into that chat room, it would be a GLaDOS terminal. And I forgot, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was just a little Easter egg, and I thought it was really interesting. We talked about film. I really want to talk about video games, if you don't mind, because it's really my thing. We can go back to any topic of discussion afterwards. But you want to talk about your 3 favorite games?
Yes. Okay. I will say one. My number one game, just from pretty much every standpoint for me, is Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, and you told me about that.
Yeah, I think it controls well. It's funny. It's got some cool Easter eggs, cool secrets, cool little tweaky gameplay moments that, Kojima is the master at putting something in that seems stupid, but you're like, oh, okay. You can snipe one of the bosses halfway through the game and just completely skip out a boss fight later on. But then that boss fight has 4 different endings because you can. I'm trying to think. Just the fact that they put them in is incredible. But you can kill the boss halfway through the game before you're even supposed to meet him with a sniper rifle. If you get one early, you can beat the boss by killing him. You can beat the boss by, I want to say, tranquilizing him. Or if you wait a week, if you save the game, stop playing for a week, or turn the clock forward 7 days, you could just outlive the boss. He just dies of starvation in old age. And you just beat him by that.
Is that really?
It's incredible. The boss battle is a sniper battle, so he's hiding and you're hiding, and you can just
So if you just leave your game on for,
you don't even have to leave the game on. You just turn the game off. We'll leave it a week and come back.
Really?
And some people said they missed out on the boss fight for years because they were just told to save the game and they just left it for a week and forgot. And then they came back and you're dead.
And was it ever explained of do they talk about how he died,
Yeah,
or
they
is
explain it? Yeah, your major comes up on the comms and he's like, Snake, it appears he's died of old age. And Snake's like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, you've left it too long. You should have faced him in battle. It was his last chance. And Snake's like, oh, that's a shame. But he has a little bird that tracks you down, and if you tranquilize it, you can keep it in a box for later, or you can just kill it and he gets angry if you kill his bird.
Yeah.
Or if you leave it, it shows up with a cutscene at the end and flies off free. But I ate the bird in front of him. I was like, I'm gonna be super mean to this dude. I just ate his bird in front of him. But you if you hold him up, which is you sneak up behind him and just point your gun at him, he goes, I give up. and he gives you his camouflage, which is one of the best camouflages in the game, because if you're in the sunlight in the grassy area, you regain health, because he's photosynthetic. He gains life from the sun, and so you gain life from being in the sun, but you also have the highest camo rating if you're in the grass. But it's just like you could completely miss it if you just killed him, or if you tranquilized him.
That's
but
interesting.
Like, that's just all that is just around one boss fight in the whole game. But there's so many little things. There's no, I'm blanking. There's a boss fight where if you're in disguise before the fight, you hear a part where he says he's scared of frogs. And if you find a frog in the jungle, tranquilize it, and put it in a box, and drop it in the boss fight, he freaks out for a second, you can get some easy shots in. There's so many little things. I mean, there's a part where you can find this legendary snake, and like an idiot, I decided to eat it, and it turns out it's like a 1 in 100 chance you find it. And I ate it, and it turns out if you beat the game with it in your inventory, you get like a super special skin. And I forgot. I just was like, oh, I'll eat the snake. It's super rare. And so you can only get it once, and I messed up by eating it. But I mean, just the fact it gives you the opportunity to. But it's got like so much detail into it. Like when you get injured, you have to go through the different steps. So it's like, okay, you use your knife to dig out the bullet, and then you have to suture the wound, apply a bandage to it, and it's like, oh, I've been bitten by leeches, so you have to burn all the leeches off with your cigar. And it's like all these little details that the game has, but it's never like, yo, I need to get really good at managing these things. You can just leave it, but it's very well done. I mean, if you look into the game, you can find all these videos about all these tiny details that are hidden in it. But it's got Easter eggs. It's got I love the whole Metal Gear series, but they are incredibly wacky, and I can see why some people can get into them, because like Metal Gear Solid 4. Probably has the best story out of all of them. And it starts off, and you're Snake, who's in the first game, but because he's genetically modified, he's had like a problem with he had a disease. And it makes him old. And it's been about 5 to 10 years since the first game, and yet he looks like he's 70. And the whole game is about Snake coping with the fact that he's about to die, which I suppose I'm about to spoil, but it's not really a...
Well, it's I am perfectly fine with not putting a spoiler warning for like an older game.
Yeah, I mean, this game came out in 2010.
And we started talking about it beforehand, so obviously if you're going to listen to this part of the podcast, you're going to...
Yeah, but there's a bit where Snake is crawling through... they're like, you need to stop this thing. There's a tunnel of all this radiation generators. And you have to crawl, like physically, you press on the button, and Snake crawls through this tunnel of radiation emitters that are slowly, like, just obliterating him, killing him with all these radiations. And he's crawling, and like all these different things are happening. The characters you've met throughout the game and throughout the other games dying or being in tough situations, and you're seeing it on split screen as you're crawling towards this thing, and it's so dramatic. And then the final boss fight of the game is just you as an old man having a fist fight with another old man on top of the ship. And it's just a fist fight is how the game ends. I mean, it's not how it ends, but how the last combat in the game ends. And it's just two guys punching each other. And it's incredible. But it's also the villain is one of the villains from the first game, is the arm of the other villain of the first game, who psychically thinks he's the other guy, but he's not the other guy, but he may be the other guy. And that's great. It's real wacky, and like I said, I can see why some people would find the series annoying. But it's a bit like if you want to play a realistic game like a stealth action game, play spoons to sell, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I would say Metal Gear 3 is my favourite game. But I would say a game that has a lot of sentimental value to me is probably the second Lego Star Wars game.
Oh yeah.
The one that is the original trilogy.
I have it right next to me because we brought it up a couple streams ago and I still haven't put it away.
I like the original films more than any of the prequels or sequels. I'm not going to get into my views on those because they're a tad controversial.
Yeah.
Let's just say I like both of them equally, and as much as that sounds like something that shouldn't be like controversial at all, the people who like the sequels more than the prequels will get angry, and the people who like the prequels more than the sequels will get angry. I mean the whole series is close to me. You know, I mean I played them all throughout my whole life basically. I mean I started playing in 2005. It would have to be 5 because that's when Revenge of the Sith came out. But yeah, 2005 to modern times, I'm still playing some of them. But
yeah,
just a quick hit.
Well, yeah, for games that I want to get to, obviously, like now that you've told me a lot about Metal Gear Solid 3. I definitely want to try that out when if I can get the hold of the game. I really want to play that. Have you ever either seen or played Eternal Darkness?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
Have you seen the gameplay?
Yeah, a bit of it. Yeah.
Do you know the gimmicks?
Some of them. I've seen parts.
Because I really want to play it just for the fact that the whole game is designed to make you crazy. And I love that. Like, they have, some of it's a bit outdated, but, like, they had the old volume bar, and it would make it look like the volume bar was going down. It was, like, the standard volume bar at the time. It's not anymore. It's, like, the green volume thing. And it makes you feel like, it's like, oh, am I sitting there? And it's supposed to make you, like, go crazy. And they have all these, like, different effects, that are just designed to make you think like you're going insane. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of similar to the first Metal Gear. And, there's a boss fight in that with Psycho Mantis.
Yeah.
Who's one of my favorite video game characters. And he's like, he reads like your memory card, and he says like, "Oh, you like to play Castlevania? you like Super Mario Sunshine?"
That's interesting.
Like, depending on if you're playing GameCube or PlayStation, he'll see different games.
Oh yeah.
Like that. And then he goes, "Place your controller on the floor, and I will move it with my will alone." And it just as rumble packs were introduced into controllers. And so it starts across the floor, and then halfway through like the level, he'll go blackout, and the screen cuts to black, and it does the old like HDMI, well not HDMI, but SCART, you know, when you flip through the different things, that comes up in the corner.
Is it outdated?
Yeah, it's outdated now, but at the time, I'm sure it would have been terrifying. You know, you're used to playing like GameCube, and, well, not even GameCube, it was on GameCube, but like so well programmed for something. So it was like introductory to the thing. I mean, that would have been the only reason why I would buy that PS Classic. You know, because that's on there, Metal Gear 1, and it's the only one of the games that is hard to get now. Because I played 2, 3, and Peace Walker, which was like a PSP version, when they did a remake for the PS3. Because I have 2 and 3 on PS2, but the PS3 versions I think are superior. They play better.
You could probably get some of it. I mean, I'm sure you could probably get the original game on. Yeah, you can get it on the PlayStation for like $20 on eBay, but I mean, I don't know how trusted eBay is.
Yeah, and it's also the PS4. I think it has some backwards.
Whoa, there was a big jump from... I just looked. There's one for $20 and one for $5,000? Who... I don't understand. Who would... I mean, I understand, like, I'm a video game collector. I mean, there's some games I obviously don't need to collect, like some of these games.
Yeah, mint in box, I'm sure it's worth a hell of a lot.
Oh, I think that's what this might be, because it looks like it's in box. But...
Yeah, I remember seeing, I went to one of the conventions, and they had Super Metroid in the box, with all the instructions and everything, and it was $2,000.
Ooh, but that's... I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a big Nintendo nerd, but I mean, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Oh, I know.
Like, Super Metroid, I'm not a big Metroidvania fan. Like, I tried starting some reviews on some games, but I never finished them. But for a lot of them, I talked about how I like Metroidvanias, but not all of them are all that great. Like, I like the Metroid, I think it's Metroid Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance. I really like that. And I know it's just like, I believe it's just the exact same thing as Metroid 1, but a bit, like, better.
Yeah.
And I like, and people are going to hate me for this, I like Super Metroid. Maybe it's just the fact that I played Metroid, Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance. I just never, like, finished it. It might be that
I get that.
It could be just it's too big of which isn't a bad thing. It's just a bit too big of a game.
Yeah, I understand that, especially for the time.
Yeah.
It's incredible that it has the ability that it has, but it is a bit.
Well, it's like an entire open world game, and I mean this is what the Metroidvanias are, but it is like a modern day open world game in 2D almost.
Because that was all happening, Undertale completely passed me by, and I was like, oh, I saw the videos. So it's like, oh, here's all the things that happen in it. So it's like I got everything spoiled.
Yeah.
Really unbeknownst to the fact that everyone's like, oh, it's a god tier game. I just completely missed out.
You would just have to. Yeah, I know. My favorite thing is watching people play it for the first time. Like I want to talk about this, and then we can go back into what you were talking about, 2016. But I had my friend over the other day, and I was debating whether or not, because we were talking about like our favorite games, and I was debating whether or not I should have him play Undertale or Portal 2, and what would be more fun to watch him play. I went with Portal 2 because I wanted to see him play Undertale for the first time. It's just, I don't know, I felt like watching somebody play Portal 2 would be more fun. Although I do regret it. Yeah, I do regret it though, because he hadn't seen any gameplay or heard any stories. Like, he didn't know any stories about Undertale. And so I kind of regret it, because I love watching people play Undertale for the first time, but then there's a lot of like explaining to do, and you have to play like several hours to get the full experience of the game.
Yeah, you gotta play it twice and a third time, and then different things.
I don't know if you remember, but during Sir Chancelot's stream, I learned that you didn't have to replay the entire game for past this route. I had absolutely no idea. I genuinely, that was like one of the only things I didn't know about the game, and I don't know why. I didn't know that you could just like skip the entire pacifist run and just because like Mercy Flowey, because it's like I've always just killed Flowey because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So I played it until last night, and I played it a couple nights ago again. So I tried out that run.
That what you said about Undertale is what I think about Metal Gear 3, where there's always something where you're like, oh, I did not know that was a thing. You know, there's games like that. same thing with Portal 2. Portal 2 has so many little things where you're like, oh, I didn't know that if you went into this specific area there was a
rat den
full of bean cans.
Yeah,
the rat man dens and all that. It's like, or if I place this radio in this den in this certain place, you hear this horrible like garbled speech.
Yeah.
And it's like I did not know that was a thing.
Oh.
I mean,
well,
like those sort of things.
I pointed out every single Ratman den to him, and I got super nerdy about it. I was like, in this room you can hear him talking, and this is what he's saying.
Yeah,
because
that stuff is.
I think Ratman was like the big thing that I always was invested about, like even back in the original days. I don't know why I've always had like this weird, and this is gonna sound really weird, I've always had this weird obsession though with people with like, I don't say mental disabilities, but people with like who aren't necessarily mentally stable and how they act in these games. Like Overwatch, it's not, I never put any game that I primarily like for its multiplayer in my top games, because I love those games, but they're not like, yeah, and it really can't count towards a favorite game. Like obviously Minecraft is one of my favorite games of all time, but I love the multiplayer aspect, and I just can't, I never will put that in my favorite games of all time list. It's just super hard to talk about like one of my favorite games of all, my favorite game of all time like that. I've never played a game that made me feel the same way that Undertale does. Obviously, yeah. No, you go.
No, you go. You are.
And then Portal 2. I liked Portal 2 longer than Undertale. Because it came out earlier. And I have had this strong connection to Portal 2. So I always say that Undertale is my favorite game of all time, and Portal 2 is my favorite 3D game of all time, because they're almost tied. But I'd have to say that like Portal 2 is so great that I can't say it's second on my list, because it sounds like I'm saying that it's not as good as it really is. But then if I say no, sorry, I really apologize. Talking over you. But then if I say that like Undertale is my favorite game of all time, and Portal 2 is not that, then it feels like I'm favoriting Undertale when they're really just they're both made with such love and care. Except Valve is a pretty big company, and at least they were when they made Portal 2. They weren't when they made Portal 1, and I'm still impressed about that. But when
the whole thing.
Oh, I bought the entire orange box the other day, which seems really stupid, but like I don't own Half-Life 2. And I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't played it because I haven't gotten my real computer yet.
I still haven't played it.
I don't want to go on this for too long, but I'm getting my computer soon, like an actual genuine computer. I tweeted about it. Yeah. I tweeted about it because there's this weird, like, just as I got the notification that my computer would arrive, I looked on Twitter's trending, and it was like #free PC, or gaming PC, which I mean, like, it's like a 1 in a billion chance to win it, so it's not something I really care that much about. But it was like a $2,000 gaming PC, which is a lot, and I'm gonna sound like a really rich boy here, but I got a really expensive computer for because I want to play all these games for my streams, and I want my streams to be really good. Because I have my laptop hooked up to this $500 monitor, a really expensive keyboard, and a really nice mouse. And
it's all being held together by a not so decent.
It's a 2008 Dell laptop, and its memory. My laptop hooked up to this $500 monitor, a really expensive keyboard, and a really nice mouse. And
it's all being held together by a not so decent.
It's a 2008 Dell laptop, and its memory. like, I almost feel bad for this PC because it's so almost mistreated at this point. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching the podcast, or I guess listening. This will be slightly edited and altered to make it pretty fun and watchable. But yeah, thanks for watching. Sea Men, do you want to shout out your channel?
Yeah, it's Sea Men on YouTube. It'll be easy to search for Mouthfuls Mashup.
Yeah. By the way,
You don't want an embarrassing search in your search history.
yeah. Well, also, if you look up, it's spelled SEAMEN. If you look that up, you still don't get your channel for some reason. You have this,
Yeah, just updated it. Did a new show called the same thing just after I released it, my first album.
But yeah, go watch Sea Men. He does like mixes with music and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. And yeah. Bye.